Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. Today is the 7th of May and it is 11 o'clock. We are going to be going through why we had a bit of a dip yesterday. I'm going to explain why that happened. We're going to go through the markets. We're going to go through BlackRock and what they're up to and why I keep saying it's the end of the beginning. We're going to go through Mt. Gox and what effect that is going to have on you. We're going to go through XRP. Have we got to the end of the road? We're going to go through Robinhood and the ETH burn. All of that, hopefully, in the next hour. And don't forget, we have our slogan of the day, which is Curse You Gap. And that is because we filled the CME gap yesterday because we had such a run-up that we caused one to occur. And that is why we have retraced. But I'm going to go over that a little bit more in the X-Files. If you are new here, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to say hello in chat. There are a few good mornings. I need to turn chat on so I can read them. So good morning to Hidden Agendas is in chat. Good morning to Bullish Bull and Gianni. I hope you are all well. Let's wait for people to come back in. There is a poll of the day today, which is the CME gap has filled. Do we now go back up? And 50% of you said yes so far, and 50% of you have said no. Hopefully, by the end of the show, you will all realise that I think we just had to close the gap. Good morning, Danny, as well. I hope you are all well. Let's get on with some market news. If you can hear some noise in the background, by the way, there is some drilling going on somewhere in the building, and it is fairly loud, but for very short spaces of time. So hopefully it won't go on too long. Now, let me hit refresh on this. I believe that CoinMarketCap is broken because the total market cap of crypto is 47.7 billion. So we are down 97.99% in the last 24 hours. So crypto has been wiped out in the last 24 hours. There's nothing left. You might as well go to McDonald's. That's all I can say. The volume, again, 1.88 billion. It's all nonsense, these figures. So I don't think it's working, especially as ETH dominance is 773% of the crypto market. You know what? You just can't write things that go wrong on a live stream. And of course, CoinMarketCap not working. Hopefully, the figures beneath are working. So Bitcoin did retrace, but it's back above 64,000, 64,200. ETH, 31.2. Should we have a look at what the gainers and losers are for the day? IOS, again, I've made a video about this project. Go and watch that video. Acclimatize yourself to some of the projects that we talk about on the stream. I make videos which are about 8 to 10 to 12 minutes long, and I normally try and cover everything about a project in that amount of time. Now, IOS I've covered. I like the project. Render is up. Arweave is up. Solana is back at 158. 158 for Solana. I remember a few days ago saying that 126 for Solana was a steal. We've moved up 20% since then. We're not going to look at the Solana charts today. The charts we're going to be looking at today are going to be Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum. I think they're going to be the three charts today. I am trying to find smaller cap coins and different projects to look at the charts of. But at the minute, the news is completely dominated by about 3 or 4 different subjects. And that's the problem. It's digging the news out and finding the news. It takes an eternity. So we've had a few gainers, anything down dramatically in the last 24 hours. Dog with Hat is down. Wormhole, Bonk. Polygon is down. I cannot believe that. Still up over the last week, but 71 cents for Polygon is a bargain. OP is down. All the layer 2s appear to be down. Floki is down. Layer 2s and meme coins seem to be down today. So it's not a good day to be holding meme coins and L2s. Good morning, Diabliski. I hope you are well. Now I'm going to whiz through these X-Files. There's a lot of them today. And remember, if you ever have any questions, ask them in chat. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. And I can tell by the number of people watching the show that this flush out yesterday has really hit the market, because normally we're getting a lot more people at this time. Now then, if you all want to buy me a present for Christmas, here it is. It is the Lego Crypto Trader Meltdown box. That's right, this comes with 7 or 8 different meltdown screens, lots of different Bitcoin blocks, and of course a very sad looking crypto trader. So that can be my Christmas present from you guys this year. And on a more serious note, let's go on to something a little bit more serious. Sentiment. The top trending tokens. Obviously, we've got WorldCoin and Litecoin in here. Litecoin, people are talking about them having an ETF. I don't know whether that's going to happen. WorldCoin, I don't want to talk about too much because of its association with everything to do with the World Economic Forum and AI. I've got to be very careful what I say about them, so I'm not a fan of them. But Litecoin is also up. There are some coins that are currently moving outside of the normal markets, and that is always something to keep an eye on and ask yourself why. Why is it pumping? Is it pumping in anticipation of something, or is it pumping because something has happened? Now then, we spoke about this, or I tweeted yesterday about this. The cost to mine Bitcoin is currently $360,000 per Bitcoin. That's what the price has gone to. Now, the way that the Bitcoin mining system works is difficulty will drop, miners will be turned off, the difficulty will fall to make it more balanced. It takes time. Now, Plan B, great person to follow on X, he's gone through the previous halvings. The revenue dropped from 3 to 1.5 million in 2012. It was back in 2 months. In 2016, it dropped from 60 to 30 million. It was back in 4 months. 2020, the drop was from 500 million to 250 back in 5 months. This time around, if you follow that trajectory, we should be looking at 6 months, 6 to 7 months, which puts us in October, November territory. What is so special about October and November? That's when we start to think that maybe the bull market really starts to kick in. So at the minute, miners are running at a deficit. That always happens after the halving, but it's going to pick up. So let's not worry too much about it. But just so you guys know, when miners receive half the Bitcoin back and the difficulty is through the roof, they are suffering, and they will suffer for a time. And the difficulty of the market has to adjust, and that difficulty brings the number of miners mining down, the difficulty down, but it will also start to push the price up. And it takes time. It takes time for that to kick in, but it will kick in. Now, I thought I just copied the next one over. Yes, I did. So, good news from PayPal. PayPal is now offering Cardano, Litecoin, and Cardano, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, ETH, Bitcoin. So Cardano has now been added to the number of cryptocurrencies that you can buy through PayPal. Remember, there's lots of negativity surrounding Cardano at the minute, and I think a lot of it, as I keep saying, is unjustified. There's no reason to be so negative about Cardano. Now then, former chairman of the FDIC has said this on banks. I do think more banks would be willing, and they have expressed desire to be in the space, but they are not going to take on the risk, especially when they don't know what the regulators are thinking. It's one of those things where you sit in a room and you just read the smoke signals. What was I saying only yesterday, or maybe it was on Friday, about XRP? Nobody is going to buy XRP. That's drilling is. Nobody's going to buy XRP whilst there is a court case overhanging them. Nobody is going to invest heavily into crypto until there is regulatory clarity, which we do not have. Unbelievable. Okay, next one. Hopefully you can't hear too much of that drilling that's going on in the background, but it is throwing off my thought process an awful lot. So then, curse you gap. What happens is when the markets close, so the CME, as far as I'm aware, is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It is the difference in price between when it closes on a Friday and when it opens on a Monday. Bitcoin trades 24/7. So if the price moves considerably over the weekend, there is a CME gap, and that's full of orders and things like that that just sit there that haven't been filled. Now, that gap is filled 90% of the time, 95% of the time that gap is filled, and it was filled yesterday. So now the gap is filled, we should go back to where we were, which is potentially 65 again, 66 again, but I'm going to go into the chart and I'm going to show you the target I gave you yesterday, and I said we need to get above this line. And as if I had a crystal ball, I'm going to show you where we went to and where we got rejected off. So although things seem to appear to be random, they really are not. So that's it really from the X-Files. We're going to get on now with... I've now got drilling on both sides of the wall. Incredible. So the latest trend seen by BlackRock will drive record Bitcoin price, analyst says. You can really hear that drilling, I think. BlackRock's head of digital assets revealed that sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and more are now considering Bitcoin ETF investment. We don't need to watch that video or have anything to do with that video. Good morning, Mags. I've got drilling going on all sides. It's like being in the middle of some kind of tennis balls off your head while you're trying to play a game of chess. That's what it feels like at the minute. I've got two lots of drilling going on behind me and above me. So Robert Mitchnick, head of digital assets of BlackRock, revealed that the sovereign wealth funds, pension funds and endowments are looking to trade in ETFs. Again, why is this good news? End of the beginning. Getting the ETF was the end of the beginning, and now BlackRock is going to go and sell it to all and sundry. Pension funds own, I don't know what it is, 10-15% of all the stock markets. You go and look at any major company in the UK or Europe or America, and they will be owned in fraction by pension funds. They are huge. If pension funds divert 1% of their funds into Bitcoin, it is a massive amount of money. The same with family offices, the same with the other ones we've mentioned up here, the wealth funds, sovereign wealth funds. So it's important to know that this takes time. We're not going to be here in 6 months' time and all of this money will have moved in. It's going to take time. So they are not going to be in the money that drives Bitcoin new all-times high in $150,000 to $250,000 range, and probably 1 million down the road. Good morning, Kabir. Even as investor enthusiasm over newly listed spot Bitcoin ETFs seem to have waned, I don't think it's waned at all. I don't know where that statement has come from. This, again, is one of those things that they like to say. So again, with these articles, they make things up. But the issue that I have with this current world is that we say things that are not factually correct. The enthusiasm for the spot Bitcoin ETFs hasn't faded. In fact, Friday was the first day in 3 months that we had green days on every single ETF. Now that is not enthusiasm waning, and I don't like this. It's like people tie you with a brush. You know, they say they give you a title and they say things which aren't factually true, and it's just, I'm going to call it a black swan. There is a potential for a black swan with this. and that is Mt. Gox. Now, for those of you that don't know, many moons ago, in fact, let's go through the article and make sure I'm not going to go over what's already in here. Given some of those who owned money for 10 years were among Bitcoin's earliest adopters, fears of a mass selling event may have been exaggerated. Mt. Gox handled over 70% of the world's Bitcoin transactions, but went under after 850,000 Bitcoin was stolen. So nearly 4% of the entire Bitcoin supply, or is it about 4%? It's about 4% of the entire supply of Bitcoin was stolen. The doomed Japanese trading platform went bankrupt in 2014, so this was 10 years ago, and its users, many of whom were early adopters, haven't been paid since. This is in part due to the painstaking efforts to recover some of the stolen crypto. 142,000 has been recovered out of 850,000. The question then is, where has 700,000 Bitcoin gone? While this means the victims won't be made whole, they can take some comfort in the fact that Bitcoin's worth substantially more than it was a decade ago. What's more, the Bitcoin Heart Fraud in 2017 also means they'll be entitled to a chunk of Bitcoin Cash. Of anything that's going to crash, it will be the Bitcoin Cash that will be sold. Compensation is due to be paid by October this year, ending a long-running saga. Now, again, the miners will be probably profitable by October, November. The start of the bull run in terms of price appreciation should start 6 or 7 months after the halving. That is October, November. Traders come back off their holidays in September and October. So everything is now gearing towards the last quarter of this year. Now, the dampener will be if 142,000 Bitcoin are dumped onto the market. I don't think it's going to happen in terms of, I don't think 142,000 is going to be sold on week 1 or week 2. I do think maybe 20 or 30,000 will be sold, especially if the price of Bitcoin is at $80,000, $90,000, it will. So this could take the wind out of the sails of Bitcoin, and it's just something to keep an eye on. It's something to keep an eye on. It's not something to worry about too much. As the guy says above, many people that were in Bitcoin had money anyway, so maybe they will just keep it and hold for the end of the bull run. But still, we say this about the token unlocks. If 5% of a token is unlocked, you cannot expect all 5 of it to not be sold. So you would say maybe 20% will be sold. In this case, that would be about 28,000 Bitcoin might be sold. That's not going to cause the market to absolutely tank, but it's going to dent it, especially if it goes over a period of a few months. So if we're seeing 5,000 Bitcoin a week, for example, being sold, that kind of negates a lot of the good work being done by the ETFs in terms of buying power. I know we've had the halving and there isn't the Bitcoin there anymore, but this would dent the market a wee bit. So Mt. Gox was an exchange. It went bump 10 years ago. Luckily, that was 2 years before I got into crypto, so I wasn't affected by this, but of course I know about it. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's something to keep an eye on. Now, again, there was a poll last year. It polled 357 people, not a lot. That says 25% intended to sell, 45% vowed to hold it, and 11% said to swap. So for argument's sake, we will say a third. So that would be 45,000 Bitcoin sold over a period of time. That is going to depress the price of Bitcoin, but I don't think it's all going to happen on one day. So let's not worry about it until we get to it, but just have that at the back of your mind. If you hear somebody say the Mt. Gox distributions are going out, then sit tight and let's see what happens. Let's see where we get to. Now then, back to this beautiful chart that we have drawn, and I'm going to show you where we got to. And again, go back to my video yesterday Bitcoin is at 64.4-ish, according to this. I said yesterday that we needed to break this magical line here, which was 66.2. We got to 65.6. So we got within $600 and then we nuked to fill the CME gap. But look at the line we have held, as if by magic. We've held 63.2. And again, this line, is this line showing us that 63.2 is now our level of support? Because it seems to be that way. Now, where are we going to go today? I think we are going to re-challenge this line again. I think we're going to have another run at 65.566. That's what I think we're going to have a run at today. We've had the CME gap filled. It was a big CME gap, and it normally gets filled because there's liquidity down there. So it's been filled. We don't need to worry about it anymore. Grayscale, I'm not sure if they had a green day or a red day yesterday, but on the whole, I think yesterday was a good day. So I'm expecting another positive move. I think we are going to go back up, certainly towards 65 today, unless there is more bad news coming out, which I can't see in the charts. So for me, again, I'm not going to go over myself. We've got to break 66,000. We've got to break 66,000 and maybe spend some time in here, which is 66 to 68,000. That's where we need to move to. Bottom right hand corner, the target is 74,000. 74,000 is, for those of you that remember, almost where we touched all-time highs. All-time high was 73.6, 73.8. So 74,000, once we get to that level, we are in price discovery. That's where I think we need to go to. And remember, as I said yesterday, we're in this downward pattern. We wicked down, we've probably touched the bull market support band, we've broken back up, and now we're here. So I think this is the play. I think that's the play at the minute. Mags is now on their PC and is more focused on the live. That is good to hear, Mags. That is good to hear. Kabir has commented, I'm very disappointed with X2 Ethereum testnets that went mainnet. Mason Networks and MemeFi, they disappointed testers in the community, very poor airdrops and rewards. You're not the only person to say that about that. And in addition to that, you're also not the only person to talk about disappointing airdrops, because the Eigenlayer airdrop also happened 3 or 4 days ago and people were given peanuts. People are livid. The issue is that if you're a tester and you are heavily involved and you spend hours working on the testnet of any project, whether it be on Ethereum or Solana or any other project, and you've invested 50 or 60 hours, and then you might have somebody that's put $10,000 in, staked it, or you know, allocated it there, or traded it there, or whatever it might be. You get, you know, an NFT project come along, or a DAO come along, and immediately they will get 15% of the airdrop. So all your hard work helping build the testnet, all your liquidity that you've provided means nothing, because a DAO has come along, and that DAO might have 20,000 users, and they'll look at it and say, well, we can reward the 400 testers, we can reward the 1,000 people that have added liquidity, or we can give 15% to these 20,000 people and decentralize the token, and that'll do. And then you, as a tester, get punished. And that's happened on more than one occasion and more than one chain. Sharkify has happened on Sharkify. Camino, people have been moaning about that. Ethereum has all kinds of nonsense going on. Eigenlayer, again, same thing again. People have been rewarded with $80, $800. It's not a lot for what they've done. So I sympathize with you entirely, and I think it is wrong. There needs to be a fairer distribution, and especially if they're honest and upfront. So a couple of the changes that I've suggested to Jupiter is, you need to make people aware of what they're getting in the airdrop before they vote. That's fair to me. If you use your voting power, you are going to get 100 tokens in this project. and then it's up to you to decide if that project's token is going to be worth your vote. And what they do is they say, right, go and test the project, go and vote, go and provide liquidity, and then we're going to work it out in the background later on and then give you an idea. And it doesn't quite help. Now then, this is big news. The SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. XRP soars ahead of key decision. Now, this is what we are waiting for. And the reason we are waiting for it is because it's going to take the shackles off XRP. And that is what we want. I've said it before, might have even said it yesterday or the day before. I keep repeating myself, I know. No risk manager in the world is going to allow their business to buy XRP whilst there is a court case of any description hanging over Ripple. The same issue that we have now with the likes of Ethereum, and they've had a Wells notice from the SEC. Bitcoin is the only one that really seems to have been given the green light because of the ETF. So bear that in mind. So anticipation builds over the SEC's upcoming reply brief, which is due on May the 6th. This document is pivotal as it precedes Judge Annalise Torres' decision on the penalties for Ripple's alleged securities violations. Previously, in July 2023, Torres found Ripple violating the US Securities Act by not registering XRP as a security during institutional sales. Again, remember, there's two parts to the court case. Is the buying and selling of XRP on an exchange, is that considered a security? In the eyes of Judge Torres, no. However, XRP was sold pre-sale, like an ICO or a fundraise, we're going to call it, to institutions. They will have bought that token based on the proviso it was likely to go up. So, is it a security, or was it classified as a security at the moment it was sold? That's what she has to decide. Now, there is a wild and varying decision on how much this fine should be. The SEC want an $876 million fine, plus penalties, totaling $1.95 billion. Absolutely atrocious that the SEC should be allowed to ask for that amount of money. It's nonsense. Conversely, Ripple's maintained that any penalty should not surpass $10 million, underscoring the absence of fraud or deceit in their operations. So what happens, this is like a game of, you're going to go and try and buy a car off somebody. They're going to ask as much money as possible. You're going to offer the least amount of money possible. So somewhere between 10 million and 2 billion. I believe the word is that it's going to be somewhere in the region of $200 to $300 million. That's the fine. As long as it's not a $2 billion fine, I think XRP is going to rip. If it's a $200 or $300 million fine, XRP can kind of pay it in change, if you like. They've already sold. We went over this a few days ago, maybe early last week. Went over the fact that XRP sold $140 million of XRP. Was that to pay this fine? Do they already know the fine is going to be $200 or $300 million? Why would they have sold XRP now, knowing the price will rip once the court case has been decided? Do they have to sell now to pay the fine? We don't know. We don't know what they're going to do, but we do know that that fine is going to be in the hundreds of millions more likely. Again, it's drops in the ocean. The project is worth, what is it worth? 20 billion, 30, 40 billion. So a few $100 million fine, it's not even 1% of the company's wealth. So amidst these developments, the crypto community remains wary of the SEC's next moves, especially after Judge Torres' ruling, which did not classify XRP sales as securities. But this decision is a crucial element, likely to be contested by the SEC, maintaining legal pressures on XRP. And again, we want closure. We want closure on everything. And again, we don't want special treatment. We want a fair and level playing field for everything. We want it for XRP, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. We want a fair playing field. Now, it did pump a little bit if you consider that we were down at 46 cents. Wednesday last week we're at 47 and a bit cent. Look what happened yesterday. If we can zoom in, let me get this a little bit closer. There we go. Look at that wick. Now that wick looks awfully familiar to the wick that we had there. So that appears to be our line of resistance, if you like, which is 57 cents. Now 57 cents could be an arbitrary number, but we have a cross here. That cross is the bull market support band for XRP and this long-term trend line that XRP has been following for a very long time. What did we do? We broke down, we broke through this level of support. We have been wallowing down here, but we're making a comeback. Is 54 cents a good price for XRP? Absolutely. It's one of the surefire bets, in my opinion, not financial advice. It's one of the surefire bets for the next 5 to 10 years. It is too far along the line for it not to work. The issue is that it can't begin working until the court case is closed. And that's the balance that XRP have got to weigh up. Do we pay the fine, finish this, and move on with the banking? Or, as a matter of principle, do we fight them to the death for the sake of crypto? And I think they are trying to find a balance between the two. And that is, we don't want to be made an example of and set a bad precedent for everybody that follows us. But at the same time, this is holding back XRP in America. They're making strides in South America, in Asia, even in some parts of Europe. They're going to be involved in CBDCs, which are coming. They have their own stable coin, which is launching this year. I haven't said anything about it because there's not a lot in the news, but XRP are going to have their own stable coin. So think of it this way. We've talked about Ethereum being the institutional blockchain for finance. We've talked about Solana being the blockchain of retail, blockchain of memes and NFTs and games and fun. Okay, but we don't have a banking blockchain. XRP could provide CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. It can provide stable coins, and not just their own stable coin. They've got a partnership as well, by the way, with another company that actually can produce CBDCs and stable coins. So they could become the banking blockchain. So not the financial institution blockchain, the banking blockchain. So not for funds and RWAs, but for actual cash, especially for transfers, cross-border payments, everything else. So XRP, the way that America should look at this is, we want XRP to stay in America. We want to have some control over the future of online crypto payments, CBDCs, stablecoins. We want XRP. They should have taken XRP under their wing and said, SEC, back off, we're giving them the license, go away. Now that might happen under the next government, but XRP is not a meme coin. It is not a coin which is highly speculative to the point of some of the others we've covered on this channel. It is going to be integrated into the banking system. Don't fade this coin. It's going to be at $1 in the blink of an eye. Then it might be at $2. It's certainly not going to $689 like a lot of people suggest, but it is going to probably get to somewhere between $3 and $5 if this court case can be closed off and it gets enough of the bull run. Because the longer this goes on, the less air goes into this balloon and it doesn't move. That's the problem. Now, we're going to move on because I think we could... Actually, no, I think we're on time. Remember, if you are new here, smash the like button. If you've never heard us before, hit the subscribe button. 127,000 followers across our different channels. So we are trying to get to 200,000 by the end of the year. It doesn't cost you anything to follow us. It's completely free. We try and bring you the news every day, 6 days a week. And we do 2 streams on a Monday and Wednesday night where we do live trading. So give us a follow. It doesn't cost you anything, and say hello. We are real. I am not an AI voice, believe it or not. And we will try and help you out as best we can. Now, Robinhood, which we're not going to talk about the name too much, but we are going to talk about the Wells notice. The SEC is planning to file an enforcement action against Robinhood's cryptocurrency business, according to the Wells notice. Now, the Wells notice is something that's issued to you before enforcement happens. As far as I'm aware, Ethereum was issued with a Wells notice, and now another online bank has been issued. The United States SEC has issued a Wells notice to Robinhood. Following the news, Robinhood's share fell 2.5%. However, I believe it completely rebounded. It did rebound. I'll get to your comment in a second, only you. The Wells notice is a letter sent from the securities regulator that concludes its investigation of the respondents in the case. According to the filing, the SEC has been investigating their cryptocurrency listings and custodian operations and made a preliminary determination to recommend that the SEC will file an enforcement action. The news of the investigations comes despite Robinhood's attempts to register with the US watchdog. Gallagher wrote, after years of good faith attempts to work with the SEC for regulatory clarity, including our well-known attempt to come in and register, we are disappointed that the agency has decided to issue a Wells notice. Now, remember what I said the other day again. You go in, you provide them all the information. What do they do with that information? They use it to sue you. They use it to fine your company. You go and hand them all the information that they ask for. They take it, they shake your hand, they smile, they nod. They drag this 2 years down the line. Once they've got enough information about you, they sue you. Look at the 2 cases in America at the minute. You have 2 of the big exchanges in the world being sued, or one of them has just paid its fine, admittedly, but being sued. Why? They are trying to use your evidence, your information against you. It is terrible business. We firmly believe that the assets listed on our platform are not securities, and we look forward to engaging with the SEC to make clear just how weak any case against Robinhood Crypto would be. Now, why is this important? Because America, if you go in and you say, I'm going to do this, the SEC will say, well, you're not doing that, you're doing this, I'm going to fine you. And they do it to everybody. So if you say you're an exchange, they'll call you a broker. If you say that you're a broker, they'll say that you're dealing in unregistered securities. If you say that you're a coin and you, based on proof of work and you're decentralized and everything else, but you'd like to register because, you know, you're the SEC and want to trade in America, they will go back in time and find a reason to fine you. Everything is about fines because they want to generate the revenue for themselves so they can employ more lawyers and they can grow to become a bigger version of themselves. They're about building a kingdom, and it is utterly nonsense. Their job should be to protect the individual, and it's not happening at the minute, and everybody is being sued. Now, we're on to the last article, which is about Ethereum, but I'm going to answer some of the questions we've had in chat. Mags, I am using Brogan's indicators and I understand how they work. That is great to hear. That is great to hear. His indicators are really clever. They're like a combination of multiple indicators put into one. You just have to look at them. You can see the lines, you can see the midpoints. Good to hear. What do I think about Flow? I don't know if I've ever heard about Flow. What is Flow? Let me go and have a look. Flow blockchain, a permissionless layer 1. I don't think I've ever heard of it. I'll have to go and have a look. That's a lot of big names building on Flow, though. Has it got a different token name? I'll go and have a look at Flow. I shall have a look at it. Right then, what other questions have we got? I sold all my XRP into Ondo and Aleph. Well, the other thing to bear in mind, only you, is that there are going to be different trains going at different speeds during this bull run. Now, XRP might do a solid 5x, for argument's sake, and only make it to $2.50. The risk associated with that is fairly low because it's a fairly established coin. Now, Ondo, great project. Lower market cap coins can do more multiples. So if you have a coin with a $100 million market cap and you say to me, well, I've sold my XRP, it's a $30 billion market cap, I've sold it and I've bought into this $100 million project because I've got complete faith in it. If that project takes off and goes to a $3 or $4 billion project, you've 30 to 40x'd your money. Now, I'm not going to say that was the right move, and I'm not going to say it was the wrong move. If you've got a portfolio of 10 cryptos, 12 cryptos, and you sell one in XRP to buy two in Ondo and Aleph, fine, because it's your portfolio. You're diversifying your risk into two other coins. If you think they're both faster trades and they'll outrace and outpace XRP in the bull run, absolutely. But it's a game of balancing risk. If you've got 40% of your portfolio in Bitcoin and 30% in Ethereum, they are very low X multiples from here. Maybe Bitcoin does a 2x or a 4x. Maybe Ethereum does a 5 or a 6x. Fine. But if you've got Ondo or any of the other coins that we've talked about on here, the AI coins, for example, on here, that might do a 5x or a 10x or a 20x, then it is sensible for you to sell your XRP because you don't want to hold too many conservative coins. You want to hold a lot of conservative coins, but you also want some wildcards or some projects which are really up and coming that you want to invest in. And I have no problem in what you have done. I would love to learn about trading, especially pairs. It would be great to connect. Brogan will be doing a live stream tomorrow night, I think 8 or 9 o'clock. He's asked in Telegram what people want. Just let him know the best time. I believe he can do 8 or 9. It's up to you guys which one you want to watch him on. So anyway, feel free to ask plenty of questions. We have got through the show a lot quicker than normal. And the reason is, and it's very simple, I don't want to be here at 10 past 12 when the drilling starts again, because that drilling really throws my thought process. I'm going to add Flow to my list. I am going to make some videos today. I'm going to look at a project called Push the Button, I think it's called. I'm going to look at some meme coins on the Kronos chain. The Kronos chain is getting a lot of love. You might have heard is it Cat with Knife or something like that? Or Crow with Knife? I don't know. I'm going to go and have a look at it anyway, and I'm going to see what I can find. Right then, yearly low, Ethereum's gas fees drive the burn. Let's make that big enough for you to see. Oh, wow, that is really small text. Really small text. So Ethereum witnessed a significant decline in daily ETH burned, hitting a yearly low, primarily due to decreased gas fees. So ever since we've gone to proof of stake, Ethereum has become deflationary. It's gone from proof of work, where it was inflating 3% a year. It's now gone to a deflationary stage in the market. So it's 0.5% a year, roughly 0.5% a year, less Ethereum year on year. So there's 120 million Ethereum roughly, and 600,000 roughly are being burnt a year. That's 50,000 less Ethereum every month. Now, the less the gas fees are, the less that's burnt. So if the gas fees drop to $1, $2, $5, there won't be a lot of Ethereum burnt. And I think they're trying to find a balance. So the decline has come because the gas fees have dropped. The Ethereum network experiences a notable decrease in the daily volume of ETH burned, reaching its lowest point this year, influenced by the decline in the average gas fees. Now, we want gas fees to come down. We don't want to see $100 transactions. It's just not right. The reduction in network fees translates to a decrease in ETH burned. So, the daily ETH burned was between 2.5 to 3,000 ETH per day. So that is 75, let's call it 80,000 ETH a month burnt. The ongoing decline in gas fees is attributed partly to a shift in activity towards layer 2s. Exactly, we talked about this. We also talked about Ethereum changing itself to slash the fees of layer 2s by about 75%. So Optimism, Arbitrum, the likes of Matic all saw their gas fees slashed. And that's going to push people towards layer 2s. The dynamics of gas fees and ETH burning are closely monitored aspects of the network's economic model. While low fees benefit network users, the recent decrease in ETH burn impacts Ethereum's deflationary characteristics. The question is, if it's deflating by too much, let's say it deflates by 2% a year, after 20 years, there'll be 40% less ETH. After 50 years, where does the ETH go? Do we end up with 1 ETH? So deflationary is good in the short term, but we want to reach parity. And Bitcoin is slightly different in the fact that it has minimal inflation. It's 1% now, whatever it is, but it's going to go to 0, which is fine. But that 0 is not going to go to -2 or -3. There will be Bitcoin lost when people send it to the wrong address, yes, but it's fractions. Ethereum has built-in deflation now. It's proof of stake, because the more active the network is, the more ETH is burnt. You can't be burning 2 or 3% of your supply every year and not think about the consequences of that. You want to keep it at 1%, 0.5%, either up or down. That's a decent amount of inflation and deflation. You don't need to go too far. In the past week, Ethereum's supply has turned inflationary with a growth of 0.49%. Again, there's nothing to worry about that. Contrasting its previous deflationary trend, as reported by Ultrasound Money, if activity surges and more ETH is burnt than issued, Ethereum will return to a deflationary rate. Again, I think they're trying to find parity. I think long-term parity is the best answer for all. Maybe up or down a few pips every year is fine. But you certainly don't want to have a situation where you're just burning ETH to pieces. Only you. Okay, I give that. Okay, yeah, Brogan will try and help you out on the stream, hopefully. Now, where are we with Ethereum? Well, we've already drawn the line from the previous bounce, so we might as well draw the line from this bounce. So, bull market support band of Ethereum, we tested it on about the 13th to an 18th of April. We rallied up a bit. We've retested it again on the 1st of May and the 3rd of May, and we rallied up again. The question is, are we going to see a reversal of that trend? Forget that one in the middle. It doesn't fit, so we're not going to talk about it. But we have a downward trend for Ethereum. What is going to break it out? Now, we're in May. What's so special about May for Ethereum? It's the month that the ETF gets approved or rejected. I've been saying now for 2 months, it's going to be rejected. We are not going to get the Ethereum ETF. What is that going to do to the price? Well, again, if we take out the effect of Bitcoin on this, it's not looking good for Ethereum. If Bitcoin doesn't move and we get rejected, could we come back down to some of these levels here? Could that happen? And I can't see where Ethereum is going to rip from if it gets rejected. So, does that then make Ethereum does that then give Ethereum a buying opportunity? We've got relatively low RSI, so we're not overbought. We seem to be stuck below this. Now, is that going to continue? I don't know is the answer, but I know we're not going to get the ETF. And if we don't get the ETF, that's going to be bad news. So one scenario for me is we go to this volume area down here. So that would be $2,300 for Ethereum. If nothing else changes in the market, if Bitcoin doesn't rip, doesn't drop, if Bitcoin stays on its trajectory, where are we going to go? And if Bitcoin rips, everything will rip. Yes, taken. If Bitcoin spends the next May, June, July, August, September, it spends the next 5 months crabbing and going sideways, normally that allows alts to catch up, but not if they're propping it up. And for me, what is the reason to hold Ethereum, the ETF? I've got an uneasy feeling that we're going to come down here for Ethereum. Now, that isn't a reason to sell. It's a reason to think about whether you can accumulate more Ethereum at those prices. So don't think I'm saying that we're going to zero, because I think we're 80% likely. No, I think we're 90% likely to see a rejection of the ETF. Now, is this price that we're at now, $3,100, are we at $3,100 because of where we are with Bitcoin and the post-halving? Are we there because of that? Or are we there because people expect the ETF? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I personally think we are here because of the ETF. Now, if that causes a ripple and we see a dip, where are we going to go? Well, we're going down, and we're going to go down to the previous level we were at. I'm actually going to put a line in. This is where I think we could go to. I think we could come to this fib level here. $2,300 is where I think we could go to. And that's not being negative at all. I'm trying to be realistic. And I'm trying to say, if you hold Ethereum, good, stake it, leave it there, long run. If you don't hold Ethereum and you want to buy more Ethereum because you are underexposed, then potentially you have an opportunity in the next 3 weeks to buy Ethereum at a lower price. Because whatever happens now, with Ethereum, it's not if, but when it is approved for the ETF. Change of government in America, change of Gary Gensler at the SEC, maybe Hester Peirce comes in. Look at the logical next ETF that BlackRock will want. They've already said they want the Ethereum ETF. BlackRock gets what it wants. So this time next year, I am 95% certain we will have an Ethereum ETF. Change of government, change of direction for the SEC. Hester Peirce comes in. Even if there's court cases going on, she'll scrap them and she'll move forward with the Ethereum ETF. But that is next April, May, June. It is not today. So I expect and think that we're going to break down if we get rejected. Now, again, it depends how we get rejected. If Gary Gensler and the SEC turn around and say, we're not going to approve the ETF because we've just got too many questions we need to go through with Ethereum first, with the Ethereum Foundation first. We need to speak to them, we need to see what they're doing, and then we're going to revisit it in the summer. Okay, that's a different rejection than if Gary Gensler comes out and says, we believe that Ethereum is a security, and on that proviso, we will not issue an ETF, and we're actually going to take the Ethereum Foundation to court about the same issues we've taken XRP to court, which is about the sale of securities to institutions, the same way XRP have just done, which we've been talking about. If he comes out and says that, we're going to $2,300, if not lower. Now, we say this about Chairman Powell. Don't look at the figures. Listen to what he says. Read between the lines. I always tell you, do as they do and not as they say when we're talking about banks. With Chairman Powell, listen to what he says and read between the lines. With this rejection of this Ethereum ETF, don't necessarily focus on the rejection. Focus on the words they use to describe the issue with the Ethereum ETF. If it's a case of we need more information, we need more time, fine. If they come out and say it's a security, we're taking them to court, we're going to sue them, then we're in an issue. Or the other scenario, which I've mentioned before, is they sue the Ethereum Foundation before the Ethereum deadline, Ethereum ETF deadline, and then say we can't issue the ETF because we have legal proceedings outstanding against Ethereum. That could be another scenario. There's lots of different variables in play, but for me, we're going to come down. Now, if it's approved in May, I will be just as happy as the rest of you guys are, because I think about 20% of my portfolio is in Ethereum. So I'm not saying this because I don't hold Ethereum. I do hold Ethereum, but I'm not saying sell your Ethereum. I am not saying buy it at this price. I'm saying that you might have an opportunity in the next 3 weeks to get Ethereum at a 50% discount or 30% discount. And it's your decision to read the news, watch me, watch other people, and see what you think is going to happen. I think it's going to happen in the next May the 7th. I think they've got two and a half weeks. It's not that far. So just be careful. Just be careful. Right, that, as far as I'm aware, is it. So let's go very quickly back to the chart. Funnily enough, all the drilling has stopped. So my speed to get through the charts has actually ended up saving us some time today. So my final thought, they fixed it. That's nice. So we're back up to 2.29 trillion. The volume is up to 71. Bitcoin dominance, 54%. I don't think they fixed it properly. I don't think this has been fixed properly yet, because Bitcoin dominance wasn't it Bitcoin dominance 53.5 yesterday? I don't think it's moved that much. I think it's still broken. But anyway, I think that in the next 2 weeks, we are going to see a shift in momentum back to the upside. We've had our correction to the downside. We've retested the bull market support band. We've had the grayscale sell-off, which now appears to have stopped. So remember, the reason we've got downward action is because of the grayscale. They've been selling off so many Bitcoin. I think we're going to move up over the next few weeks. I can't guarantee that. It's not financial advice, but I think we're going to move up. So if you've got your bags packed, just sit back. Tariq, so I will keep it stacked for next year, Ethereum. I think so. I think if Ethereum gets its ETF next year, that will be... I said yesterday that we might have a double top like we had in 2021. And the reason we had one in 2021 is we peaked in April, and then we got all the stimmy checks and we got all the money printing. It gave us a second all-time high. What we could see next year is all of these influencers could be right, and April could be the all-time high for Bitcoin, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm open to that. But what might happen is April we hit 150,000 for Bitcoin, whatever it might be. And then in May or June, the Ethereum ETF is approved, and then we rip again. What I would say about Ethereum, which is different to every other asset outside of Bitcoin, is if Ethereum gets the inflows, and we can look at Hong Kong on this, I think 15% of the inflows into crypto in Hong Kong are coming into Ethereum. So if you work out that the inflows into Bitcoin are X, if you type that X by 0.15, you have a very big number. Remember, Ethereum is a third of the size, a quarter of the size, suppose. Let's call it a quarter of the size of Bitcoin. If it's getting a huge amount of money coming in, it's going to take less money to move it further. So I'll give you an example. I think, and this is, again, not financial advice, we could see a $10,000 to $12,000 Ethereum without the ETF. That's a 3x, 3.5x, whatever it might be from here. Because I think the market will go to 8 to 10 trillion over the next 2 years. Now, well, no, over the next 18 months, actually. So let's call it 8 trillion. Let's say it's a 4x. That would put Ethereum at $12,000. Now, if it gets the Ethereum ETF, we could see $20,000 for Ethereum. $18,000 to $20,000. So I think it's going to move the price about 50% from where it could get to. And again, this is my hypothesis. This is not fact. This is not something that you should put your mortgage on or your house on. This is what I feel. Bitcoin could go to 120,000 or 240,000, in my opinion. Ethereum then could go to 12,000 to 16,000-ish. But if we get that additional inflow, look at it this way. BlackRock is training financial institutions about Bitcoin. BlackRock is going around explaining why Bitcoin works. It's going to take them potentially 2 years to do that, 3 years to do that. If they've trained people in Bitcoin, look at what they're building on. They're building on Ethereum. So they're going around saying Bitcoin is not deflationary. Bitcoin is store of wealth, digital property, digital land, whatever you want to call it. It's a finite supply, more finite than gold. It's actually, inflation has dropped below that of gold. So Bitcoin is what you want to hold. It's digital, it's the future, it's going to do multiples. They've been sold on it. Now, in 2 years' time, they make a phone call and they say, do you remember we told you about Bitcoin and look how well you've done about Bitcoin? Now, we've been building on Ethereum for the last 2 or 3 years. We have put our own funds onto the Ethereum chain. We are building our financial platform on Ethereum. Where do you think, or what do you think the digital versions of stock exchanges are going to be built on? Do you think it's going to be built on Solana? Do you think it's going to be built on BNB? No. Do you think it's been built on Ethereum? Absolutely. So everything's going to go to Ethereum from the financial institutions, and BlackRock are there first. They are going to build on Ethereum, and they're going to go back to these pension funds and sovereign wealth funds and say, look, we've told you about Bitcoin. This is why we believe in Ethereum. We're building on Ethereum. Look, we've now got a stock exchange on Ethereum. We've got RWAs on Ethereum. You can now buy government bonds on Ethereum. Ethereum is going to be the financial computer of blockchains. And those institutions are going to go, you know what, we've put 1% into Bitcoin. That's done well for us. We're going to put 0.5% into Ethereum. So yeah, we believed you on Bitcoin. Now we're going to believe you on Ethereum. So, would I sell my Ethereum having heard what I've just said? Never. Would I sell my Bitcoin on what I've just said? Never. Right? I am going to cash out on my Ethereum at $20,000 if we hit it. And I'm going to be honest with you, because that's life-changing wealth. That's more than a house for me. Okay? So I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you now, I'm selling it. I'm never going to sit here and say I'm never going to sell any of my crypto, because that would be disingenuous. The only crypto I've mentioned that I might never sell is Bitcoin. If I can make enough money in this bull run from everything else without selling Bitcoin, I will sell everything but Bitcoin. That includes Near Protocol, Solana, Ethereum, it will all be sold if I can hold on to my Bitcoin, because I don't want to sell my Bitcoin and then not be a bear market and bull market again for Bitcoin. This could be, and I've said this before, this could be the last bull run for Bitcoin, because when you get to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for Bitcoin, where does it go? $1 million. Okay, fine. Where does it go in 8 years' time? $2 million. Okay, so holding it for the next 8 years will take it from $500,000 to $2 million. Well, that's a 3x over 8 years. There will be way more crypto businesses that haven't even been founded yet for you to invest in. But if you've got your Bitcoin now, you hold on for dear life. There may be an opportunity in the future, Michael Saylor is building it, for you to use your Bitcoin as collateral, and safe collateral, not collateral where it's going to be made to disappear via some North Korean wonder kid. But there may be benefits in the future to holding Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor is working on them. So if we have a native on-chain system where you can stake your Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin can be used by financial institutions in return for you receiving 2% a year. Well, 2% a year on a Bitcoin that's worth $500,000 is $10,000 a year for free for holding the greatest, rarest asset on the planet. So bear that in mind when we're talking about Ethereum, that Ethereum is going to be BlackRock's next big thing, and they're already starting. And Bitcoin and Ethereum should do very well in the bull run. It all comes down to timing with all of these things. Why do you think this bull run was so depressed? Why do you think we had such a bearish bear market? I think it's because that BlackRock was trying to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. And I think most of the Ethereum run-up has been BlackRock buying Ethereum as well, by the way. I think they've probably done the same thing with Ethereum they've done with Bitcoin, which is to find a trust and buy Ethereum. So I think that's what's going to happen, and that's the long-term goal. How long do you think Bitcoin will go in the next bear cycle? I don't know if we're going to have the same kind of bear cycle that we've just had. The higher the market cap of Bitcoin, forget everything else, the higher the market cap of Bitcoin, the shallower the drops, but also, in my opinion, the shallower the peaks. So it's diminishing returns. I think Bitcoin, if it retraces, it could come back 40%. The question is, 40% from where? Is it 40% from 240 or 40% from 120? That's the issue. Now, the drilling has just started, so I'm going to go. Thanks, everybody. Great stream. The drills have just kicked in, so I'm going. So take care, everyone. I'll see you in the morning.